Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Mark Clark, and it's my privilege to serve as the President and CEO of Pima Council on Aging.
And I'm Lana Baldwin, Vice President of Philanthropy and Communications. Welcome to an evening with PCOA.
So tonight, we had planned to be with you at the Westin La Paloma Resort for our annual gala. While we are disappointed not to be able to celebrate with you in person, we appreciate the opportunity to spend some time this evening talking with you about how PCOA is continuing to serve our community during this public health crisis. We also thought we'd share with you some information about the rising needs we're seeing among older adults in our community as a result, and the work that PCOA does every day to help older people in Pima County age well. So this evening, we come to you instead from the TEP Community Resource Room at the Katie Dusenberry Healthy Aging Center. Just the two of us and our friends Scott and Anna Grizel from Creatista behind the camera practicing social distancing. We're so glad to be with you tonight. We even dressed for the occasion.
Mark, I know you join me in offering our most sincere thanks to our gala sponsors who've stepped up to continue their support even though we had to cancel the event. It's one thing to support PCOA in times of celebration, when we're coming together to have a good time. And we certainly look forward to celebrating with you all again in the future. But these organizations have really proven to be wonderful community partners at this very challenging time for all of us, turning their sponsorship pledges into donations, and often giving even more, in acknowledgement that these are difficult times for older adults. We are so grateful for the support of every one of these generous partners, and especially for these sponsors that contributed $5,000 or more to support PCOA and truly embody the best of corporate responsibility and philanthropic spirit. Thank you to our friends at Casa de la Luz Hospice, Tucson Electric Power, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona, Mercy Care, Copper Point Insurance Companies, TMC Healthcare, and Robert Bell and Tom Buchanan. Thank you all for recognizing that older adults in our community need all of our help more than ever, and for demonstrating what partnership truly means. We'd also like to extend a very special thanks to our hardworking gala committee and our fabulous co-chairs, Catherine Vaughn from Agape Hospice and Palliative Care, and Tina Gillette from Senior Home Care of Tucson. This is not the event we all envisioned would come from many months of work and careful planning, but your efforts have raised significant funds to support PCOA and the people we serve, and brought new relationships and awareness to PCOA, and we appreciate you so very much.
The theme for this year's gala was Embracing Life's Voyage, and while life has certainly taken some unexpected turns in recent times, we're all stronger and better able to weather the current challenges, because we are on this journey together. PCOA is still here to serve older adults and their families and caregivers. Most of the services PCOA offers are still being provided today, but they look a little different than they did a few weeks ago. I'm immeasurably proud of how quickly our team mobilized to develop alternative ways to continue delivering services to our community, and the innovations with which PCOA is responding to emerging needs. In mid-March, PCOA transitioned all of our group services and most of those provided in person to remote service formats, and temporarily suspended some classes and group activities. To do our part with physical distancing, about 80% of my colleagues are now working from home. We've gotten creative with technology for both day-to-day business and service provision. We know that the needs for people to access reliable information on complex issues has not changed, and so we have recorded and posted to our website presentations on understanding Medicare and accessing the Arizona long-term care system. And just as quickly as COVID-19 related Medicare fraud and scams started popping up, we put together an informative video on that topic as well. We're now holding caregiver support groups by phone and video conference. Our family caregiving support team normally facilitates 11 support groups throughout the community. And of course, we've suspended those in-person meetings. In an interesting development, however, We now have caregivers joining us for virtual meetings who tell us they wanted to attend support groups in the past, but haven't been able to leave the loved one for whom they were providing care, and can now participate for the first time. So we anticipate that many of the innovations born of today's necessity will prove to be valuable service adaptations we will continue even when we are able to gather together in groups. We know how very valuable those support groups and other services PCOA provides are to family caregivers. In fact, let's hear from some of them now about how caregiving has shaped their life's voyage.
I promised her that I would never put her in a nursing home, and I did not, and I would not have been able to do that if it was not for Pima Council on Aging.
This is a picture of Mom. I got a call literally at 3 in the morning, like the commercial. She had fallen and couldn't get up. Going forward, myself and my wife Tara wound up taking responsibility for caregiving.
At PCOA, we believe that a caregiver is anyone who invests time, energy, thought, or tangible care for someone who needs assistance. That person might be an elder or someone who has disabilities. It can be focused on providing basic needs such as grocery shopping or meal preparation, assisting with a shower, or other basic needs like that. It might be someone who helps with the safety of an older American, someone who ensures that rugs are picked up off the floor, that electrical cords are tucked back against the wall, or to ensure that the food in someone's refrigerator is still safe to eat. It's also someone who ensures the mental and social well-being of a senior, to ensure that they have meaningful conversations and social connections that keep their life rich and enhance the quality of their life.
My mother had a bilateral frontal lobe stroke, so she moved here with me, and I took care of her. It was a 24/7 job. And so I called Pima Council on Aging, and they were able to switch me over to respite services so that I could get a couple of times a week, a few hours where I could go and get a haircut or go to a doctor's appointment of my own, get some groceries. I wouldn't have been able to do it for as long as I did without the help of Pima Council on Aging.
The population of aging adults in Pima County is growing more rapidly than almost anywhere else in the country. That provides us with a tremendous opportunity to be with caregivers as they support and care for their loved ones in ensuring their independence, their quality of life, and dignity in their final days.
In a lot of respects, things got worse during the 2.5 years that we were her caregivers. My wife and I were kind of at wit's end, almost out of desperation. We wound up calling Pima Council on Aging, not just for Mom herself, but also for us as caregivers.
Self-care is as creative and individualized as each caregiver, him or herself. And so we provide ways of addressing self-care needs that are tailored to the individual.
We got referred to the Caregiver Support Group program. Those were very important in keeping me stable and keeping me on an even keel. As caregivers, we weren't alone. We weren't going through this by ourselves.
It truly is a privilege for us at PCOA to provide these necessary and important supports to caregivers in our community.
Everybody understood. We're doing our best, and there was a genuine offer to help us do whatever we needed to do the best that we could.
In addition to the virtual support groups, one-on-one counseling is still available for family caregivers by phone, and we continue to offer the respite services Karen spoke about, though we're seeing some reduction in the use of these services right now as people are choosing to isolate at home with their loved ones and not bringing in outside services. PCOA also provides case-managed in-home support services for about 1,200 older adults and people with physical disabilities to help with bathing, dressing, shopping, and light housekeeping. And a small number of those people have also chosen temporarily to suspend some of those services. People in our in-home support system are receiving extra support from their case managers, frequent check-ins by phone, and assistance with errand running and shopping. Perhaps the most critical need PCOA has addressed in the past few weeks, and one of the earliest to emerge, is ensuring that people who have relied on programs provided by PCOA and our partner organizations to meet their nutritional needs continue to have access to good, nutritious food. Between March 12th and 17th, 12 senior lunch programs funded by PCOA and operated by community partners from Tucson to Ajo closed. 85% of those people tell us that that lunch program provides their main hot meal of the day. Our partners at the City of Tucson Parks and Recreation Department, Pima County, Catholic Community Services, Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest, and the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona worked tirelessly to figure out how to make sure the approximately 325 people that we were feeding through these lunch programs every weekday still had access to nutritious food. Together, we were able to put in place grab-and-go meals for lunch program participants who could pick them up, and provide Pima Meals on Wheels home delivery to those who could not. We're grateful for the city's ingenuity and leadership on this issue and the Community Food Bank's quick response to ramping up meal production so that we could make sure none of the older people relying on us for their meals would go hungry. More than 900 highly vulnerable, homebound older people every day already receive meals through Pima Meals on Wheels, and the demand for this service is increasing. We increased weekly delivery for folks already enrolled and are providing each of them with 2 extra weeks of food in case of a disturbance in our distribution system. All of this was only possible because of the strength of these partnerships and our shared dedication to the well-being of the most vulnerable older adults in our community.
So many older people in our community are vulnerable in terms of health and also in terms of resources, with many living on limited and fixed incomes. And we do everything we can at PCOA to help people make the most of what they have. Our rights and benefits staff assist people to find and enroll in benefits programs for which they're eligible, such as SNAP or food stamps and utilities discounts. Through our wonderful team of volunteer and staff Medicare counselors, we help people save money on their Part D plans. One program you may not know much about is our personal budgeting assistance program. The service we provide through trained and vetted volunteers in this program is highly individualized and quite intensive, and makes a significant difference in the lives of lower-income older adults in our community.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
The Budgeting Assistance Program works with seniors who have very limited income, and we help them live on the limited income they have. They have to be over 60 years old. They have to have an income under $2,500 and savings of less than $30,000.
Oh, thank you for bringing that along.
Oh, yes.
You don't use checks, you use a debit card.
Right.
But so we could call it a transaction register or a bank register, or whatever you feel comfortable with.
Most of the clients find that they become very, very comfortable with the volunteers and like meeting with them. Most of the time it is seniors whose spouses have passed away. Many of them do not have families who live nearby. Besides the financial part, it's a socialization program. It's the time they get to spend with somebody from the outside. We have 13 volunteers, and we have 31 clients at the present time. The volunteers come from all walks of life. Some of them have real financial training like CPAs. Some of them just have an interest in finance.
And you find that comforting.
Oh, very
Oh,
much,
yes,
yeah.
because you know the lay of the land. I was the daughter of a rocket scientist, and I spent the first years of my career working at the beginning of the space program, which involved a lot of mathematics and physics. I got a degree in accounting, and I worked for a software company. I love people. I love working with them. I love using whatever abilities I have to be of help to people.
So this is what you showed me through the check registers, is to keep a record of everything I spent. Fry's and Jimmy John's Electric, Capital One.
Many of the clients that we have not only have some budgeting issues, because they don't know how to write checks because their spouse have taken care of that.
Every day what I'm spending. So then I can keep a record of that, and I know where I'm at as far as what's left in my account. Jackie has done tremendous work with me. I lost control of my balance. I lost control of all my work, of what I spent. And now I feel that I'm in control, that I know where my balance is, I know how much money I have, and before I didn't. I just kept my fingers crossed that it was going to go through. And I was able to pay my car off. I was able to do a lot of different things that I wasn't thinking about before.
My satisfaction is watching both the volunteers and the client work together, feel comfortable, and enjoy a better life.
Jackie, thank you very much. You are a big help. You did a wonderful job, and you're helping me out, and I appreciate that very much.
It is continuing to make it possible for me to work in the field in which I'm trained, to lead a very meaningful life working with the people, and to hear Dennis say what he's been saying about the service and about what I've been able to do to him is really very heartwarming.
While all of the services personal budgeting assistance volunteers provide are important, as you heard Barry discuss, some of these services are absolutely essential for people, making sure they're able to pay their monthly bills. Someone experiencing macular degeneration, for instance, who can't see to read their mail or write their checks, relies on a PCOA volunteer to pay their rent and utility bills. For those reasons, about half of our personal budgeting assistance volunteers are still providing in-person services while practicing physical distancing and no contact, while the remainder of services are being provided by phone to help keep folks on track with their finances. And all of those other services we talked about to shore up limited and fixed incomes of older adults and help improve their quality of life are also available by phone by calling PCOA's helpline at 520-790-7262.
Thanks for that. It's so important. You know, I think we could all use some good news about now. We made this announcement just last week in the latest digital issue of our Never Too Late newspaper, but for those of you who may have missed it, it's my great pleasure to announce that the Caregiver Training Institute is now a part of the PCOA family of nonprofit companies. The Caregiver Training Institute, or CGTI, is a nonprofit organization that will function as a subsidiary company of PCOA with a board of directors comprised of representatives of both organizations, and myself as the president and CEO. CGTI has been providing excellent training programs in Tucson for nearly 20 years and has trained thousands of certified nursing assistants, certified caregivers, and assisted living managers. We believe it is absolutely essential to maintain and expand the workforce of trained caregivers in our community to meet the challenges of today's crisis and to prepare for the future. Taking this step will ensure CGTI's continued ability to provide excellent training programs to meet this growing need. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Margaret E. Mooney Foundation and the Arizona Together for Impact for very generously supporting this integration. Even as it seems like most things in daily life are focused on the immediate crisis, which requires and deserves much of our attention, it is also important for PCOA to continue to look to the future. We are grateful for the leadership of our board of directors, the vision of community partners, and the investment of extraordinary funders who are helping us work to meet the needs of older adults in our community today and tomorrow.
PCOA also helps older adults to plan for their own futures. Back in February, which was just a few short weeks ago, but feels like a different lifetime in many ways, I was here in this very room with the team from Creatista, and we visited a session of the Aging Mastery Program, which was developed by the National Council on Aging. And when Jim Furman, CEO of the National Council on Aging, was last here in Tucson, I heard him talk about how this program came into being, how they realized that there were all sorts of educational and social programs for children and youth, and training programs in professional development and parenting education for adults in the middle stage of life, but really nothing to give older adults a roadmap for what to do with the third stage of life, or how to make the most of their longevity. So they developed the Aging Mastery Program, which PCOA has been honored to offer in our community since 2015. Please enjoy learning more about how we are helping people embrace the next leg of their life's voyage through the Aging Mastery Program.
I set up the table for refreshments, set up the table in the entrance there. I provide the information, the handouts that we are using for the day. But more importantly, I try to smile and make them welcome.
Your rooms in your home and just figure out if you can address any of these fall hazards.
The Aging Mastery Program is an opportunity to come together with peers, other older adults who have either retired or are close to retirement, and they're looking for some direction and some focus in their life to build their confidence, to keep them socially connected, to learn new information in an environment where they can learn at their own pace, and to enjoy being with one another.
Balance, I can't tell you how.
I was so pleased to meet you at the first offering of the Aging Mastery Program. I believe that was in the fall of 2015 in September.
I enrolled in the Aging Mastery Program because I really didn't have a clue as to what I was going to do, and the Aging Mastery Program has helped to give me some direction. I learned a lot from the Aging Mastery Program, and I believe in it. I decided that I wanted to volunteer.
The program participants have a lot of good written material provided by National Council on Aging, but they really seem to enjoy and appreciate the community expert presenters on the different topics. And it's amazing, we have all different kinds of individuals. We have people who are younger, 55 and older, all the way to the one lady that we had in your class at Armory Park who was 92 years old, and she was trying to decide whether or not she could make it to Paris with her friend. And the group really encouraged her, and she did in fact make those plane reservations and go on her trip.
I look forward to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, and knowing that there is a rest of my life. And I can say, okay, now I'm going to plan what I'm going to do next month, next year, and 10 years from now.
My husband went from a typically very healthy 75-year-old man to death in just a matter of weeks. The situation has left me in a position where now I must take care of myself. I have no one else to rely upon. And when I saw the topics that were offered in this program, I couldn't get here fast enough.
It's very helpful for me to have someone else to listen to what I'm having to complain about on that particular day and say, it's gonna get better, it's gonna get better, it'll be okay. Part of what I see and hear as I'm listening to people in the class is courage. I am 88, and it is a wonderful experience to be that old.
Maybe I can be so lucky to live that long.
Exactly. Give me something to aspire to.
I pass along that legacy to my nieces and nephews.
My husband also died a few months before hers did. Now I have got to build a life for myself. That will probably take the rest of my life, ever how long that is.
And this really makes you feel so good when you go home.
It could not be better, in my estimation.
It's irreplaceable.
It was so special to hear from those participants about how the Aging Mastery Program is helping them plan to live life to the fullest. Unfortunately, we had to suspend this particular course of the program right in the middle of the 10 sessions. But we look forward to the time when we can resume the classes. I dare say the folks we talked with are eager to come back and learn more. And I hope that what they gained in the first few weeks is helping them through these isolating and difficult times. You know, Mark, I think one of the real bright spots to emerge from the state of the world over these past few weeks is how communities have come together to weather the storm, and our community in particular. We've seen extraordinary generosity as funders have come together to create funds in support of nonprofits that have lost operating revenue due to canceled fundraising events, and to provide for basic needs of the community members our nonprofits serve.
PCOA has certainly seen a rise in those basic needs. All day, every day, we're getting calls to our helpline from older people who can cook for themselves but can't find the food they need, can't afford food, or are unable or afraid to leave their house to shop. People are struggling to obtain other necessities like hygiene and household items, medical and incontinence supplies. Many older people are adrift because their informal networks have collapsed. The friendly neighbor who used to take them shopping is no longer leaving their home. Family members who used to swing by with a few extra groceries have lost jobs and can no longer help. Friends who shared food are avoiding contact for everyone's safety. While people are being told to stock up in preparation, many vulnerable community members are struggling just to maintain what they need on a daily basis.
PCOA receives federal dollars to deliver Pima Meals on Wheels. And the good news is that we've seen some increases in those funds to meet that rising need. But we cannot use those federal dollars to provide groceries or other basic needs. We have established a COVID-19 emergency fund to help put essential items in the hands of older adults who need them. The emergency fund will pay for food and household, hygiene, and medical supplies, and the costs of delivering them, as well as other one-time essential needs related to health, housing, and safety. We are so grateful to have received expedient and generous support of Mercy Care and the United Way of Tucson and Southern Arizona for these essential needs, but more help is needed. If you are looking for a way to help support older adults in our community during these challenging times, your donation toward these unmet needs would be greatly appreciated and will do so much good. Go to givepcoa.org. All donations made to PCOA during the next 48 hours will go directly to this emergency fund. You can also give to the fund anytime through our website, pcoa.org, for as long as the health crisis continues to impact older adults in our community.
We absolutely could not meet the critical needs of older adults right now without the long history of partnership and support we have enjoyed from government, corporate, and nonprofit partners, as well as so many generous individuals in our community. It is the combined effort of all of us that have built PCOA into a strong and flexible organization with the ability and the resources to quickly respond in times such as these to care for the most vulnerable members of our society and support the needs of every older adult. We will weather this storm, and though our voyage has taken some unexpected turns through tumultuous waters, we will get through it together. So raise a glass and join us. Here's to the health and safety of each and every one of us and our loved ones, and to a time when we'll be all together once again.
Hear, hear.
Thank you for joining us this evening and for your support of PCOA.
Good night.